Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. What played out on the streets of New Delhi, and especially the area around Jantar Mantar and the Parliament Street, it was unbelievable. It was phenomenal. The way the youths poured out on the street, they vented their anger, raised slogans against the Modi government. It hasn't been seen before, and especially the magnitude and the scale. Now look at these shots. These are the drone shots of the crowd, the youths, and this is the inorganic. This is a very natural sort of audience which you see here. The people coming from all states, Jharkhand, Bihar, and from several quarters of the country, people have joined in for this Parliament march today. What you see on the screens is of people who were lathi charged. And what happened basically, now look at the traffic jam all around, and especially the area around the Parliament, Jantar Mantar, all the streets were chock-a-block. There were phone jammers, therefore you could not send any messages. Look at the lathi charge which happened. It all started very early morning. And the kind of police deployment which was seen, I was told that 32 paramilitary force, the companies were deployed. Then there were truckloads of stones which were seen in the morning. And look at the massive deployment. There were tear gas shells which were used for the students. And at some point of time, say around 2:30 or 3, what we were told was that the parliament gates were shut. The parliament gates were shut down. In fact, the MPs like Sagarika Ghosh, she had put out a video saying that they wanted to go out because the parliament was adjourned every 30 to 40 minutes. They wanted to go out, but they couldn't. They were held up because the police inside the parliament, they had shut down the gates. So basically what you see is that the children had sneaked out of their home, elderly people who traveled across states, and students holding placards were amongst the thousands who gathered on the streets of Delhi for the Cockroach Janata Party's Chalo Sansad protest. Nobody had thought of this scale and magnitude. By the daybreak, the central government, in fact, the central Delhi, had turned into a sea of people with protesters carrying flags, placards, marching in groups, and also raising slogans as they moved through the roads leading towards Parliament. Also by afternoon, in fact, Saurav Das, who happens to be one of the spokespersons of the Cockroach Janata Party, he was seen going to meet along with Ashutosh Ranka, his colleague, and he said that we have explained to the government what our demands are, but the police has not stopped the brutality, because what we had also seen on the social media were visuals of how certain youths were electrocuted on the barricades. What we were told was that the barricades had used current, and that's how the children got injured. And there was a massive backlash today, in fact, against the Modi government. Many carried backpacks after traveling overnight by train and bus, while others walked with umbrellas as rain lashed the city. So you can imagine, despite the rain, if that kind of a phenomenal crowd you could sense. So was the ground really shaking beneath Prime Minister Modi's feet? And what do you think, according to today's protest? Because Sonam Wangchuk had put out 3 conditions in the morning through a letter. He said that if the leaders come and meet me, I will end my fast. What I'm told just now by a few people who are there at Jantar Mantar, that the police has dismantled the stage on which Sonam Wangchuk and other members of the Cockroach Janata Party had put those placards and the icons like Ambedkar. That was the same site where Sonam Wangchuk was holding his hunger strike. So that stage has been dismantled. This is the letter I was talking about from Sonam Wangchuk. He had put out the 3 conditions on which he would end his fast. But what do you think was the impact of today's protest? Nobody had imagined that this kind of a crowd will play out on the street and it will jolt the government. But has this protest really jolted the government? Do you think that the government is really going to address the concerns of the youth? Joining me this evening is renowned historian and Professor Mridula Mukherjee. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining. We have Pushparaj Deshpande, author and policy expert. Thank you so much, Pushparaj, for joining. And also joining us is political analyst Siddharth Sharma. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining. And I'll begin with Mridula Mukherjee. Mridula, ma'am, did you sense or did you find the scale and the magnitude of the crowd which we saw of the youths turning in huge numbers? Was this something phenomenal in the past 12 years, what you have seen during the Modi government?
Uh, yes, can you hear me?
Go
Yeah.
ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. No, I think indeed it is definitely phenomenal. Of course, we've had, not to forget that we've had very powerful protests earlier, especially the farmers' protest, but they were not allowed to come inside Delhi except on certain
Mritla
occasions.
ma'am, could you just
And
ma'am, could you just move the screen a little because yeah, this is better. Yeah, go ahead, please.
yeah, is that
Please.
better? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Go
Sorry.
ahead,
Yes.
please.
Yeah. All right. So I said that, of course, we had the very powerful farmers' protest, which lasted for more than a year. The difference being that the farmers were not allowed to come inside Delhi and set up a base of protest inside the city. They were stopped outside, and therefore they actually blocked the highways for over a year. We also had very powerful anti-CA protest, which got in Delhi known as the Shaheen Bagh movement, because that became the site of protest. But there is no doubt that today's protest was phenomenal. And I think what I would say is that what is remarkable about today's protest, many things are remarkable about it, but I think the spontaneous nature of the protest is something we need to note. The farmers' protest had well organized unions leading it, organizing it, doing the regular mobilization, keeping it going, etc. Shaheen Bagh also, anti-CA, had a greater amount of leadership. Here, a group that emerged, you can't really call them a political party, the Cockroach political party, which emerged just a little while ago on social media, uh, emerged and provided a sort of focus of protest. And then Sonam Wangchuk came into the picture and gave it a certain different kind of color and stature. And then with his hunger strike, etc., the movement acquired a different visibility and reach. But I think the protest has shown that what happened today was something beyond all this. None of it can be explained by either the role of the small group of the Cockroach Janata Party or by Sonam Wangchuk's fast. What happened today was that what showed was that there is an enormous amount of seething anger in today's youth. And I think if, like people like us who are teachers and who are remain constantly in touch with the younger generation, I'm not surprised, because I see that all the time in the young people around me. And in fact, for the last few years, many of us at our stage in life who've taught for so many years, who've guided students, mentored them, seen them grow up and become good scholars, we've felt a great sense of dismay seeing where the education system is going, and seeing the level of frustration and total lack of hope that has come into the minds and hearts of the present generation. A student does a very good master's program, wants to join PhD. There's no PhD left. They've killed the research programs. They do a PhD, they want jobs. The job scene is either the jobs are not there, and when they are there, they are manipulated heavily by ideology and money.
No, but
So
Mridula
it's a
ma'am,
lethal
looking at,
combination.
yeah, no, indeed. But Mridula ma'am, do you think
No,
that
I'm
this
also saying,
today's
let
protest,
me just give me
yeah,
give me a moment. I'm saying then you have a examination system, the NEET, the JEE, the CUET, which has been added to it, and all your competitive exams for which millions of students are sitting every year. If you put together this whole mass of people, is what I'm saying, and they all have their different levels of frustrations. All right. If you put it all together, you can understand the groundswell that you saw today. No movement can be explained, suddenly not something of this scale. I mean, the whole of central Delhi was taken over, for hours and hours and hours. I mean, you just saw people coming out from who knows where and spilling out onto the. I think nobody anticipated it, least of all the police or the government. I don't think the leaders in their wildest dreams could have imagined what happened today. So I'm saying we need to have our ears to the ground and try and understand what we are seeing. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right. No, but I wanted to ask you, and then quickly I'll go to Pushpraj then. That, ma'am, do you think that the government must have got jolted today? And I don't know how complacent they were, but did they expect a crowd like this kind of a groundswell, and people surrounding the parliament, and the parliament gates had to be shut? This wasn't something which apparently Modi government had even dreamt of ever.
I don't think, frankly, I don't think anybody had dreamt of it, leave alone the Modi government, which unfortunately has lost touch with the people.
True.
If they don't have their ear to the ground, and it's all become a whole thing of we can manage everything. You start believing your own delusions. You start believing your own story. That's what happens with autocracies after a while, and
Right.
that's when they start declining, is
Right.
when they no longer can keep in touch with reality. So that's when hubris comes in. That's when arrogance comes in, and all that. Have they received a knock? Well, I hope they have enough sense left in them to have received a knock and realize that this is big and it's not going away. It's not a question of managing today in Delhi. Even if at the end of the day, things sort of, it's not become a situation where it's going to last forever. We yet don't know. Frankly, I don't think anybody knows yet what course this movement is going to take. And anybody who says today they know are just fooling themselves. I don't think the leadership knows. I don't think the kids out there know. Nobody yet knows what shape it's going to take. But it's something very big, and everybody who's in any situation, including political parties, should put their heads together, should talk to the young people more and more, try and understand what's going on, and give it shape, give it their support, give it all that it deserves.
All right. Okay, let me come to Pushpraj now. What ma'am is saying, that nobody knows what shape this movement is going to take. We've seen a tremendous amount of energy in the youth today. There were a lot of political parties, and in fact, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi were asked this question, that why are you not seen on Jantar Mantar? They ducked that question. But Farooq Abdullah, people from Samajwadi Party, Aam Aadmi Party, a lot of parties were there today, and they made their presence felt. What do you think is going to happen now? Uh, and frankly, even I would agree with what Mridula ma'am is saying, that nobody knows what shape this is going to take. And Saurav Das and Ashutosh Ranka going and meeting JP Nadda, do you think that is really going to solve the problem? And was that the real thing which Cockroach Party wanted? That ultimately they are not even meeting Amit Shah. Forget Prime Minister Modi. They don't even meet Amit Shah. They end up meeting JP Nadda, who says that we will discuss all this internally. Now, does this make any sense? What next? That's the biggest question.
A very good evening to you, Niluji, the panelists, and our viewers. Firstly, the student and youth protest clearly proves that the power of the people is far greater than the people in power. Whether it is CJP's Parliament March or Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi-led Chhatron Ki Goonj in 100 cities, India's youth have joined hands in what I can now very safely claim is a huge anti-incumbency protest. This protest is no longer about CJP or Congress or any individual. It is much more than all of that. It is about the systemic rot in not just the education system of India, about everything else, employment, our shared values. That's one thing. Secondly, I think the BJP government has forgotten that Article 19(1)(a) and 19(1)(b) of India's constitution guarantee the right to dissent and protest, which numerous Supreme Court judgments have upheld. Consider what the BJP did today. They cancelled, I mean, not today alone, they cancelled permissions for Rahul Gandhi's Dehradun rally. They closed metro stations in Delhi. The CRPF blockaded roads. The Rapid Action Force was firing tear gas, and the Delhi police is lathi-charging young children. Is this the world's largest democracy? as Prime Minister Modi loves to trumpet every time he goes abroad to claim yet another useless and symbolic award for his shelf. And more fundamentally, to the RSS and BJP, who claim they were supposedly beaten and jailed during the Sampur Kranti movement, would anyone who has suffered through police brutality inflict that deliberately on someone else? And that to young people who are the future of this country. I mean, kids demanding accountability for paper leaks are being vilified and beaten as anti-nationals, and by the government and the compromised media. And those who are leaking papers and reducing education to a damn dhanda, they are suddenly nationalists and patriots. I mean, if demanding better education or meaningful jobs or the right to your home, as an entire village protesting against the Ken Betwa project is doing, or clean air, civic rights and freedoms, if all of these things make you an anti-national, aren't all parents and families anti-national? Because that's what everyone wants for their children and their grandchildren. I mean, just how much longer is the BJP government going to gaslight us and the entire nation? The BJP government needs to understand that Dharmendra Pradhan, Narendra Modi, and Amit Shah are not India. BJP is not India. And voicing dissent and wanting a better India does not make anyone anti-national. Thirdly, isn't it strange, Niluji, that the BJP government, to answer your question, the BJP government has deployed the health minister of the nation to speak to CJP protesters rather than the education minister, who can actually do something to fix the rotten education system. Likewise, if the BJP was genuinely serious about engaging with the protesters, then why, on the other hand, were you beating them mercilessly? I mean, it's very clear that the BJP just won't be moved with traditional tactics like hunger strikes or even satyagraha. Why? Because the BJP does not feel it is accountable to us. It steals mandates by breaking governments, purchasing legislators like vegetables, and removing citizens from voter lists. I mean, did you see how imperiously and arrogantly Prime Minister Modi behaved both outside and inside Parliament? It's a classic case of Nero fiddling as Rome burnt. Which is why I feel we must all collectively and unitedly think of an experiment with disruptive tactics to outmaneuver Prime Minister Modi and BJP. This means ensuring that this movement spreads to every city and village in India, and it does not remain focused on Delhi. Because if you really want to teach the BJP a lesson, and I'll tell you this very clearly, if for some reason they win UP or Uttarakhand or Goa and Manipur, they will say, these NEET protests were nothing. You have to teach them a lesson. Every state from now till 29, you make them lose. And you know what? This is unsolicited advice. But if I were in the opposition's place and the CJP's place, you know what I would do? Just make two demands. First, ask that Prime Minister Modi gives one unscripted press conference where any accredited journalist can ask questions on any subject. That's it. The whole pack of cards, this whole jumla that this BJP government is, will come tumbling down like this. And secondly, that both Dharmendra and Narendra should resign. Simple. Nothing else should suffice.
Right. I'll come to Siddharth. Siddharth is also someone who is handling the back-end operations of Cockroach Janata Party. And therefore, Siddharth, I'm going to ask you detailed questions as to, today also when Saurav Das and Ashutosh Ranka went to meet JP Nadda. First of all, why did they agree to meet JP Nadda? They could have still insisted that at least no one less than Amit Shah we would like to meet. Now, they also know that how many demands, whatever they have asked for, how much is it going to be fulfilled by the government? Everyone knows. The very fact that JP Nadda was propped up for that meeting goes to show that the government is not serious about engaging with the protesters. So at the end of the day, would you say that this protest was a success? Of course, there was a groundswell which was seen. There were a lot of people who came out on the street. There was a genuine anger which was seen, which was palpable, which could be felt. But then how does it now culminate into? Nobody knows. Because Sonam Wangchuk obviously will end his fast. I mean, that the stage over there at Jantar Mantar is dismantled. So to begin a situation like that again at Jantar Mantar, I'm sure is going to be very difficult. So now again, it becomes leaderless, rudderless. And how do you channelize this energy now? That's the biggest question.
Yeah, Neelu, your question that you put me right now, and the thumbnail of your program, which says what's been the impact of today, that are a little bit, both of them are a little bit tricky for me to answer. Because what your question right now is asking me is that what is the end product at the end of the day? Any product, any end product also entails there is some process earlier that has happened. And I think when your program says that what's the impact of today, that essentially means that we have to go through the process entire day. Today's been a pretty big day today, pretty I won't say it's earth shattering, but it's crossing a Rubicon. It today has India has today crossed a Rubicon. What has happened essentially today is beyond politics and beyond personalities. After today, there's gonna be a massive psychological behavioral shift in a generation of Indians. Our generation thought, that is my generation thought, that centralizing power in a certain individual icon called Modi could bring order to a chaotic land like India. Now this generation forgot elementary principle of elementary scientific science principle, that actions having equal and opposite reactions. The more power you give to anyone, the faster that demon comes back to swallow you, and very cruelly at that. It comes back very cruelly. So a government which was given power to usher in a bright future today gave bloody nose to India's future generation. A parent is supposed to protect his children. It's immaterial what kind of children he has. A parent is supposed to protect his children, not punish them. Today was a classic case of a parent, dysfunctional family, dysfunctional parent punishing their children. Generation next will remember this sadism. Generation next will now on become more and more sovereign. It won't let anyone trespass their power anymore. They will reclaim their sovereignty that our generation had given away. It's back to we the people. That starts with India's constitution, starts with we the people. It's back to we the people and getting back the power from you the arrogant government. We the people and you the arrogant government. 12-year-old kids today were caned, Nilu. Reports on social media say that metal barricades were electrocuted. Now, tear gas shells were lobbed, and all of them on what? Students, kids. Now, see, that's why what has happened. I think you should show the Russia's global media. I'm telling you from the globe, from east to west, how the sun rises. Nikkei of Japan. It's a very reputed Japanese newspaper. It has covered it. Okay. India, obviously, Indian newspapers would have covered it. Go to the Middle East, Al Jazeera, the biggest Middle East newspaper and news outlet, Al Jazeera has covered it. Now go to Europe, France 24 is one of the biggest ones, liberal. France 24 has covered it. BBC of England has covered it. Hell, even New York Times has covered it. I have worked a pretty long time in some capacity with New York Times, but in all those years, nearly a decade, it was only once that I could get them to write something on India. Having worked with them, and today they have themselves written it. Just a few hours ago, go to New York Times Twitter page, you go to New York Times main page, you go to New York Times Facebook page, even Washington Post is covering it. So what has essentially happened is that all are covering this as a violence by BJP on very peaceful students. So now what is happening? That's why I said it's a huge psychological, massive behavioral shift. It doesn't now matter anymore if Mr. Sonam Wangchuk stops his fast or not, Mr. Abhijit Dipke goes back to India, goes back to USA or not, whether Mr. JP Nadda met somebody or did not meet somebody, what were the demands? Please tell me, even if today, tomorrow, even if today, these people whom you name, that's why I said it's beyond personalities now. But since you're speaking about personalities, what if Mr. Sonam Wangchuk says that, okay, from tomorrow I'm ending my fast? What if Mr. Dipke of Cockroach Janata Party says that, okay, we have given our demands to the government, so our job is done? Do you think that hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people who have been hurt, who have been traumatized today, the generation of Indians, generation next is seeing the government. This is not about Abhijit Dipke anymore. This is not about Cockroach Janata Party anymore. This is not about Sonam Wangchuk anymore. This is about a generation of Indians, youngsters, seeing the government as being so arrogant that it is rather than giving them a bright future, rather than giving them a good career, they are in fact sadistically punishing them. So how do you think they'll react? How do you think they'll react? It's beyond personalities now. That's why, this is today, I think India has crossed a Rubicon. A generation before today, that is the generation of us, we had thought that India is a very chaotic place. Let us give a lot of power to a certain individual icon, and he will bring in a lot of order. It was like an unruly class, and somebody saying that let us give a good cane to a teacher so that he can discipline the class. Now, if that teacher has slapped so many children, your children are getting hurt and injured, and the parents are saying, no, 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 I didn't send my child to get hurt in your school. I want my child to get knowledge in your school. So the BJP, any parent, a government is supposed to be any government in this world. Now, in across the world, there are many types of governments. Now, there are democracies. There are dictatorships also. But even if you go,
my point, Siddharth, is all that is well taken what you're saying. But the thing is that now this kind of an energy which was seen on the street, how do you assimilate that energy? Was it just a one-day phenomena? I mean, people have gauged that yes, if a movement is organized well, if it is organized properly and methodically, it does work. People do come out on the street, and especially the kind of issue with which all these youths came out was quite a potent issue, and which is why the youths of the country, along with their parents, were seen on the street. I myself was traveling in a metro today, and because I had some work and I had to go in the afternoon, but inside the metro, I had never believed, and this is like the first hand what I saw. I'm sharing that there were parents and children who were going back to their homes and their destinations after attending the Jantar Mantar protest, and they were sloganeering inside the metro. I had never seen this kind of an anger. There was no political presence inside, and I was forced to, take clips of those people on my phone and record what they had to say. And there was genuine anger against Prime Minister Modi. So now the thing is that I hope that this is just not a one-day phenomena. What is the next step? Siddharth, very quickly, and then I'll go to the
yeah, just a small curiosity, since you recorded those conversations at the bit, were they speaking about Mr. Abhijit Deepke or Sonam Wangchuk, or were they angry on the BJP? That's the basic
They were
question.
taking Prime Minister Modi's name. They were
That's the
taking
point.
Prime Minister Modi's name.
That's the point. Abhijit Deepke and Mr. Sonam Wangchuk are personalities. People today did not come from Mr. Sonam Wangchuk or Mr. Abhijit Deepke. That's the entire point that we need to understand. That today a government, a parent which was supposed to protect its children, has today, how do you say, there is something called, people say something called as corporal punishment to children that is not supposed to be given. Today, a government gave a corporal punishment to its own child. So the scar today, what's going to happen is that immaterial of what happens tomorrow. Another point I want to, as a small submission, that people like us, scholars and analysts, we tend to have a little bit of bias, because we more or less most of the times cover political parties and political movements. We tend to think that, and the fact of the matter is that any political movement or a political party is run according to a hierarchy. There are cadres in there. So it's a very planned endeavor whenever a political party does any activity. But today's activity was not done by a political party. This was a mass movement. You cannot have the same weighing scale for a mass movement. Mass movement doesn't have leaders. Mass movement doesn't have cadre. Mass movement does.
No, I get your point. You're saying that this was a mass movement and a very natural mass movement which came up on its own.
Organic, very organic.
Yeah. So I would now, since Pushparaj has also worked with India Alliance, what should the political parties be doing? Now, there were a lot of political parties which were seen with the people walking and marching up to the parliament. What should be a coordinated effort from the opposition's end now, whether it is Congress, whether it is Samajwadi Party, whether it is any other party of the India Alliance? How do you channelize this moment?
Look, oh gosh, I'm so sorry the light's gone in the house. See,
Go ahead. I can see you. Yeah.
See, the fact of the matter is that every party in the India Alliance has extended its support to the CJP, and every leaders from every party, almost every party, have attended the protest to show solidarity with them. So the fact of the matter is that they have basically already they've already expressed solidarity with this protest, even if it was centered in Delhi. But my point is that this is what I said in an earlier show. It is very easy for the BJP to attack one particular symbol or one particular protest site. What they cannot, like the British government could not, is tackle 100 mutinies across India. This is the only way to confuse and overwhelm a hegemonic force that controls and demands obedience from its people. So I would think that what Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party are doing is something that we need to immediately support, and everyone should, because what they are trying to do in 100 cities needs to be replicated, needs to be empowered, supported, but it also has to be much more deep. It has to be much more vertically deepened. Until and unless they reach the 6.5 lakh villages in India and the 802 districts in India, we are not going to see a groundswell. And I think there is enough evidence, even though the Godi media, I mean, today for the first time after a very, very long time, I made it a point in the middle of the day to go and check every channel. I don't usually do that in the middle of the day. I was shocked. I mean, this is like a post-truth world. These people are saying that the protesters are attacking the police and that it's not such a big thing. Some of them were even claiming that the police removed the protesters peacefully. I mean, do they think that we're nuts? Do they not see what we are seeing on social media? How compromised have you sold your souls to the devil? I mean, sorry. I mean, I'm a believer in a higher power. You're going to have to answer somewhere or the other to a higher power. I mean, what is this? You're compromising your soul, your conscience, just for a few silver coins, 30 pieces of silver.
I'm just interrupting you because there's some breaking news. I'd just like to share it with the audience that Abhijit Dipke has announced that they will continue the protest till Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. Even though the police cleared the protest site after lathi charge and tear gas shelling, Sonam Wangchuk announced that he will continue his hunger strike on day 23 after the police brutality on the peaceful protesters. This is what the latest situation is. So we are where it was. The situation continues. Dipke will continue the strike. Sonam Wangchuk will continue his hunger strike. Yes, Pushpraj. And then I'll take the final comments from Ridlaji.
See, this is what I'm saying, and I think I'm glad that they are continuing to do what they want to, what they think they should do. But as I've always maintained, in a campaign, in a mass movement, the symbolic must always be complemented with the substantive. It is very important for us to have symbolic visuals because it's emotive. It inspires people into action, like it clearly did. But you have to understand that until and unless you build foundations under your aspirations, and the foundation here is to remove the BJP from power, not to ensure that Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. He's a cog in a very large wheel. You really think that Dharmendra Pradhan or any minister in this cabinet has any authority to sign anything or actually implement any policy? It's all been dictated by the PMO, and they have stuffed RSS pracharaks and people in every minister's office. The ministers are rubber stamps. So you cannot just stop at demanding that Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. You have to go further. The only way that you're going to change the system, as Siddharth and Mridula ma'am have been saying, is if you demand for structural reforms. Do you realize how much mess they have created with the education system? They've cut UGC funding, which has caused fees to go up 500%. The RSS pracharaks are being stuffed in permanent positions. RSS is dictating the curriculum. I mean, these guys have created havoc with the scientific temper and pedagogic freedoms and in general pedagogy. We are going to take decades to reverse this trend. So these structural reforms will only happen if this government is thrown out. And I'll tell you something very clearly. Anyone, these guys, I shudder to say this, but anyone who supports the BJP at this juncture, for me, is no longer but an anti-national. These guys they are not working in the national interest. They are not working in the national interest. I'm sorry, but as Siddharth said,
but I think the situation is developing as the time is passing by. Or other breaking news, and what I can see, Abhirami, if you're there backstage, and if you could play out the tweet that is at 7:40 p.m. Cockroach is back. That is the Twitter handle, which says, "Can you show that on the screen, please?" It says that plainclothes officers carrying lathis spotted excitedly going to beat up their next targets. No uniforms, no ID cards, just armed to protect Dharmendra Pradhan's kursi. And this is what they have tweeted. And they have also taken clips of those plainclothes policemen, and that's what they have tweeted just now. Mritla ma'am, yeah, this is a tweet. These are the visuals. Plainclothes wale. I'm not going to read all that, but yes, it does say that these are the plainclothes policemen who are trying to scout the area. It's around 7:40 p.m. That's when the Cockroach Party has tweeted this, showing the visuals as well. Mritla ma'am, your concluding thoughts on this? I think the situation is going to become more, stormier. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but what do you see happening tomorrow?
I'm more worried about what's going to happen tonight
Yeah,
in the dark.
absolutely.
I don't think that we should put anybody should put their guard down at all. I think if what has been shown clearly is that there's going to be no soft treatment. One should expect and prepare for the worst. Be very vigilant. Be very vigilant about especially agent provocateurs. I mean, I'm very worried by this, what I saw with my own eyes, the videos. The whole day I was tracking what was going on. And when I began to see those rocks on the road, I was very surprised because even before people started reporting on that, I saw those rocks, stones. And I knew that those kids we had seen, and the whole, you can make out the temper of a crowd. There's no way they were carrying stones. Nobody was carrying stones. It was all very visible. Everybody was visible what was going on. How did those stones suddenly appear on the road after the lathi charge? It was obviously to create a situation where you say that there was stone pelting by the
Yes.
protesters. It's the old story, the Kashmir story. So you have to justify your repression by always saying that. But here the trouble was that it was not a small
And yes,
group.
just to inform the viewers, Ashutosh Ranka has said that they have not heard anything from the government after Saurav Das and Ashutosh Ranka met JP Nadda. So far, they haven't heard anything. Now they are going back to Jantar Mantar. Yes, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you.
The point is, they go back to Jantar Mantar, but to what? It is no longer, let's not imagine it's going to be the same Jantar Mantar. The nice, friendly place that was tolerated for 25 days or almost a month.
That's right.
The stage has been demolished. The crowds have been pushed out. So they go back to Jantar Mantar. Do you understand? I mean, will they be even allowed to go back? I have my doubts whether they'll be allowed to go back and start staging a protest again. They may, maybe not. It all depends on what the government's understanding is of how far they can go and how they can prevent it. They clearly don't have the permission. The permission was given for one day, 1 month ago. After that, it's all been without permission. So it's been an illegal protest. The government can in any time say, just clear out from here, as they've done in earlier protests. You lock, stock, and barrel, you pick up people and you throw them out, and then it's for them to go where they can or where they cannot. So I don't know what's going to actually happen. Nobody is there on hunger strike. The hunger strikes have all been lifted. Now, where are the SFI people? Where are the ISA people? There
Yeah.
were three kind of distinct, structures over there. There was the Cockroach Party where the fasting was taking place, fasting. Then there were the other, where other people would go and give speeches and all. Now, as I said, I have no idea what's going to happen. All I can say is I'm worried because if the stance has been one, no negotiations, no response, at all, no response to Sonam Wangchuk. After all, picked him up and put him in the hospital. You're not really worried about his health. You're not conceding. He has actually given so many openings. Let me put it very clearly. He has said that, as long as there are parliamentarians who will agree to meet these people inside the parliament building, it's not a very big demand. He will give up his fast. I mean, how much can he go on reducing his demand? He's not even saying Dharmendra Pradhan resign, and yet you are not responding. So what is it? What is the message we are getting from the government? Lathi charge, currents, you know, brutal lathi charges, and not just okay. I can understand that when the people were actually almost getting into the parliament, the police will have no choice but to have a lathi charge. But they were doing lathi charges where? In Connaught Place, 1.5 kilometers away from parliament, just to clear the crowds. Brutal lathi charges were done in different places. People have been reporting this till late afternoon. There were visuals of whole crowds, tear gas.
True.
Huh? Yeah, and now we just got news that in Ahmedabad there were protesters. In fact, Mallika Sarabhai just put out a post where she said in Ahmedabad there have been now lathi charges and tear gas and on the protesters at 7 o'clock in the evening, and they have
Right.
detained some 400 people in Ahmedabad. So obviously, now the other thing is this may well spread. Already, various cities there were protests. So how this is going to spread nationwide,
I think I'm losing the audio, ma'am. Yeah, I think she's got disconnected. No issues. We're just ending. So, Siddharth, you had raised your hand. You wanted to say something?
Yeah,
Very quickly.
very small point again, elementary. Never intimidate youth. Proof being police running away with tails tucked under their legs when cockroaches started video recording them. You just showed on your TV just a few minutes ago. The moment these cockroaches started video recording them, the police themselves are running away with tails stuck. So 2,500 kilometers away in Bangalore, there were 1,000 people yesterday afternoon. Right now at 8 p.m., one day later, there are 20,000 people and we're having a candlelight vigil. So how is it changing? It doesn't matter. So basically, इसको हिंदी में अगर लास्ट में बता दूं तो 56 इंच के शेर पर ना हजारों छोटे छोटे नौजवान मधुमक्खियों ने हमला कर दिया. अब बताइए, a lion is fighting a swarm of bees now. So who wins? Who loses? It's for common sense to say now.
Right. So, yeah, I was just ending the show, ma'am. So, if you could just complete your point very quickly. Yes, ma'am. You got disconnected. Yeah. Go ahead, ma'am, please.
no, I don't know. There was some interruption.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I was saying that uh, in Delhi, I don't know the situation in other parts of the country. We don't have enough news with us. But I'm saying at the Jantar Mantar site, given the way things have gone, I am very worried about what might happen in terms of the repressive tactics that the government may well use, including detentions of the leaders that may well happen. In the case of Sonam Wangchuk, they virtually have detained him in the hospital, not allowing him to go to another hospital, not allowing him to access his own doctors. I mean, this is actually illegal detention, what he's been subjected to. Completely illegal. And the court has condemned it.
Right. All right. I think, yeah. Yeah, Mridula ma'am has almost finished the point, and we were just ending the show. So obviously, the movement has not ended, and as what has been put out by the Cockroach Party, that they will continue their hunger strike. Sonam Wangchuk is also going to continue his hunger strike because of the police brutalities which have taken place. So let's see what happens tomorrow. And as what Mridula ma'am said, more than tomorrow, we have to keep a vigil as to what's going to happen tonight. Will there be a major crackdown if the students try and go back? That's something to watch out for. And I think we'll have a late night just observing what all is going to happen. Thank you so much, Siddharth Sharma, Pushpraj. Thank you very much for joining.